Hello and welcome to the latest business chat with me, Glenys Chatterley from Effective Business Network or EBN. Today I've got the amazing Ben Agar Hutton from Avenue Financial Solutions. I'll keep wanting to call it services, but he forgives me every time because you get a great service, basically. You get the solutions and you get great service. And that's what always plays in my head whenever I'm talking to him. So he does mortgages. He does other stuff, but he does mortgages. So we're going to talk about a bit about mortgages, but not just yet. So Ben, hello, my lovely. How are
Hi,
you doing?
Gladys. I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm really good. Yeah, it's really nice to see you. It feels like forever, really.
It's probably because it has been forever.
yeah, it is sort of dragging on all this, isn't it? But anyway, we're nearly out. We're nearly in the sunshine.
Almost there.
So tell me a little bit about you and your business.
Okay, so Avenue Financial Solutions has been running for about 24 months now. We celebrate our second anniversary in about a week's time.
Will there be cake?
There's always cake.
Yeah, okay, I'll be around to pick it up. That's fine, yeah.
We started the business at obviously a very interesting time. 6 months into starting a business, we obviously had the whole world of COVID, which is always lovely. But, you know, it's my first foray into running my own business and I'm enjoying every moment of it. The learning, the understanding as to how to have a good, strong, solid business and do the day job at the same time.
Yeah, I think I think you either love self-employment or you don't. And you very quickly know whether you're going to enjoy it or not, even through the terror and the pain of it all, you know. So, yeah. So tell me, why do you do this? And what did you do before you did this?
So I've always been in sort of consultative selling. So previously was a national account manager for a K2 equipment supplies company, supplying everything from commercial kitchen design all the way to knives and forks on the tables. And what I'm doing now is similar in a number of ways. It's consultative selling. I listen to people, I find out their pains and their problems, and I come up with a solution. But rather than, you know, speaking to chefs and operations directors about how I can support them, I'm now speaking to my clients and just trying to find them, you know, the best mortgages and come up with new ways to help them borrow what they need to achieve their sort of dream home.
Yeah, and I guess when it's chefs though, you probably get the odd meal thrown in while you're waiting, or
Probably less than you would expect.
Oh, well, that's no fun, really, is it? Yeah. When I had the catering company, I always made sure I had our meetings round at my house just before tea time, and then one of them would go and create something from the bits that were in the fridge. You know, it was like, oh, yay! So no point in having the chefs if you don't use them. You know,
That's
all the time. So, and you've done that. And what was it that made you go, do you know what? I'm going to move over to this.
So my parents have always run their own companies. I mean, even now today, they're running sort of 3 small companies between them. So growing up, I was always in the environment of, you know, my parents generally weren't out working. They were always working from the home office. And having that balance, that work-life balance was always quite important to us. And I've got a young family now. So being around and spending time with my kids and my wife and just trying to make sure that, you know, I work to make sure that I can look after my family. And it's just important to me to be able to spend time with them as well as be able to provide for them. So that's part of the reason. And the other reason is I was at the point where I was quite successful in what I was doing. And I had to decide whether I wanted to continue doing that for the rest of my life or take a bit of a risk. And I was in a position where I thought I would take a risk and try and do something by myself and make my own fortune, if I should put it that way.
And why mortgages?
I always want to help people. I kind of feel when I was a first-time buyer, especially, and even when I bought my second property, I didn't really understand the process, and people kind of pushed bits of paper in front of my face and said, "Here, sign this." And because at that moment in time, you're desperate to, own a property, purchase a property, you don't want to hold up the process. Um, it's very rare that those people will sit there and read through everything, explain everything to you. And even as a first time buyer, you feel a little bit stupid that, you
Mm.
don't understand the process, that you don't know what's going on. So I like to think of myself as a bit of a champion for the people and help people sort of understand, especially for a first time buyer, it's a very, very scary process. You're signing up to a large amount of debt that
Mm.
you don't know anything about. You don't know how it's really serviced. You don't know what the expectations are upon you and how you need to do it. But you know that it's a necessity to get the property. So it's about helping those people. And I think also now more so helping, business owners and people with complex forms of income, understanding how to navigate the lenders, as lenders now especially are more cautious around who they will lend to and how they will lend. So those are the other types of people I'm really sort of helping at this moment in time.
Yeah, I guess the thing is with a mortgage as well, it's like you don't do it very often. Most of us, we have a mortgage and then we buy another house, and that might be several years later. So even if we learned anything from the first lot, you don't remember any of it. And it's probably all changed anyways to the second lot, and so on and so on.
Yeah, and what I would say is, these days for a lot of people, you can jump online and find yourself a mortgage, and that's absolutely fine for a lot of people. But it's not necessarily the best product for the individual, because all you're looking at is you're looking at it from one viewpoint. So you're looking at it from a price basis. And it's very rare that we buy anything, or you buy anything in society purely based on price. You look at all other factors. If you're buying a new TV, or, a new piece of a new phone, you will go to market and you will look at 1,000,001 reviews. You'll look at, what does the camera do? How fast is it? What is the screen like? What's the cooling like? What's the cool settings like? You'll look at 1,000,001 things, and then you'll look at the price, and then you'll do a bit of haggling around it, and then you'll make a decision. Whereas a lot of people are quite happy just to go to a website, find the cheapest mortgage and move forward with it, but not necessarily understand some of the implications behind it. What does the mortgage product have lying behind it? What penalties are there if you were to, have an early repayment charge, so you were to settle the mortgage early? What other fees come into play? What other deals are available that you're maybe just not aware of because they're not available on that website? So it's just a little bit of understanding that although that saves some people a lot of time and hassle, it might not necessarily be the best thing for everyone.
And I'm guessing as well that my impression is that, systems change and the offers change, and a website won't be changed all the time. So if you talk to you, a mortgage advisor, what they get is somebody who is absolutely entrenched in all of that stuff, so that there's actually a good deal from them going this week if you're under that and you're 4'2"
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, what I would say is, to be fair to most of the online portals, is they update the products on a daily basis. So it scrapes the products from the systems, and, they're accurate. But what you don't know behind the scenes is the lending criteria that drives the lender's decisions. What's their decision on leasehold properties? What is it about self-employment? What's it about IT contractors? What about first-time buyers? What if you've missed a payment, or you've got, a county court judgment, or anything along those lines? That takes things out of being very, very standardized. There is something where each lender will have a decision to make, and you don't necessarily find that out on those sites without asking the right questions. So,
Right.
you can go to third parties and ask to speak to a broker, and a broker can at least guide you through some of that.
And so just tell me, I always ask this question, if somebody were looking for a mortgage advisor, what sort of the 3 top tips would you give them as they start their search? Apart from come straight to you, of course.
Yeah, no. If possible, find someone that you can actually meet in person, sit in front of them, and see the work that they put in. Ultimately, I believe mortgages, same as everything else. We're talking, let's just say the average mortgage, £200,000. You're taking advice on borrowing £200,000. You want to at least trust the person that's sitting across the table from you. So, you should go and meet them if you possibly can, and spend some time with them, and just make sure that you feel comfortable with them. Ultimately, you're putting your finances in their hands to help you through this process. You should really trust them. So that's probably one of the key things. Outside of that, I would say look at their reviews, listen to what their previous clients have said, and don't get me wrong, you get a lot of good reviews, you get a couple of bad ones, and you can only generally see what people put online or anything along those lines. But you can ask for a referral. People, I would happily refer you to any of my clients and say, have a conversation with Mr. Blogs, and he will tell you about the work that we did for him, because we all take client referrals very seriously, and ultimately that's the lifeblood of a small business, really. And I guess finally is, it just kind of circles around to think, find someone who you actually want to speak to, you enjoy spending time with and you enjoy having a conversation with. Yes, we're here to do a job for you, but you also want to have the confidence that you can have a conversation with that person, and you don't feel that so I say to my clients, there are no stupid questions, and I ask my clients repeatedly in all of my meetings and lots of my email communications, please let me know if you have any questions. I'm not a mind reader, and I'm here to help you. If you tell me what your problems are, then we can probably help you.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's about people think that, well, I should probably know that, but the reality is, if you don't know, you don't know. And there's no magic formula for suddenly knowing what you don't know, other than asking people. I mean, one of my strap lines is, I'm always fabulous, but I'm never going to be a mind reader. So if you need some help, you need to ask me, else I won't know. So 24 months into business, what advice would you have given yourself if you'd have known before, or what advice do you wish you'd have had before you started?
I would say you have to trust other people to do things for you. An example I would use is, to start my business, I created my own website, and that website in itself looked absolutely fine. For me to send clients to, it was a good reference page. But what it wasn't doing is, it wasn't generating me any leads or referrals. No one was finding it through Google. If you searched for the business name, you'd find it. If you searched for my name, you'd find it. But if you searched for mortgages, Essex, Braintree, Chelmsford, anywhere, you would find me maybe on page 7 or 8. And that's not really where you want to be. But if I'd spent the money on day one and got someone to actually do it for me, a reputable company who does mortgages and search engine optimization day in, day out, and that's all they do, that's what they earn their money for, then maybe I would have had more clients in my first year, because I trusted someone else to do it. And I think that's the key thing, lean on experts, speak to your business owners, lean on people that do things all day, every day. Because what I'm telling my clients to do effectively, I'm telling my clients, come to me. All I do every day is I look at mortgages and I understand the lenders and the criteria. Come to me, I'm in a better place. So maybe do the same. So start off early, get in touch with an accountant, a web designer, people in marketing that are going to help drive your business forward.
I think it's also about, you can spend a lot of money on nothing, thinking you're spending the right money. So it's also about asking people around you. So, you said your mum and dad have 3 businesses. They must have an accountant. So who's their accountant? Talk to businesses that you know and say, who does your marketing? Because as we both know, you can spend an awful lot of money with absolutely no results whatsoever, or a lot of money on the fripperies of having a business.
What I would also say is, don't be afraid to speak to your competitors effectively. So for me, speaking to other mortgage brokers, understanding what works for them, what works for their businesses, what hasn't worked. I've got a number of mortgage brokers in other geographical areas that I'm quite friendly with, and we talk a lot about what's successful with the business, what marketing's working, what products, what lenders. We talk all the time, because they're a good sounding board and they have a lot more experience than I do in some cases. So that enables me to, learn from some of their mistakes and make sure I don't put myself in the same thing. And I teach them a few things too, maybe about technology, as some of the ones that I'm quite friendly with, don't want to embrace certain aspects of that. But when they see what I can do with it, then they see that it might work for their business too.
Yeah, it's I think you're right. It's getting that balance right, and it's getting it's an interesting point you make about competitors. I'm actually probably the next business chat with me just talking will be about competitors, because I think people get really scared, and nobody should be scared of competitors. But I'll put that on the next one, so you've got something to look forward to. So tell me what you do. You've said you've got wife and you've got a couple of kids. How old are they?
So my eldest Leo, he's just turned 4, and my youngest Thea, she is 18 months old.
Wow. Just getting interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
they're both very interesting.
Especially when it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, especially then, yes.
And what do you like doing in your spare time other than being with them?
Food. Food and travel are generally sort of the two sort of passions. Everything to do with my family has kind of always been food orientated. So my mum is Chinese from Malaysia and my dad is white English. And what that means is we've got a very mixed sort of culture. So I grew up in Luton, so I grew up with a lot of Asian and black friends. So lots of, growing up, there was Chinese food, there was Malaysian food, there was Indian food, there was Jamaican food, there was Jewish food, and then there was sort of English traditional fare. So we had everything. So growing up and going to other countries, I've traveled over quite a bit of Asia and done lots of, travel through Europe. Haven't really traveled much of the Americas, so would like to do South America is probably where I'd love to go.
Mhm.
And just wherever I go and embrace sort of the food culture more so than anything else. So eat what the locals eat and see what's going on there.
Yeah, I think my beloved says I'll eat anything that doesn't bite back. And I've been very fortunate because I've worked hard and I've been lucky as well. I've traveled a lot. I've done all of the continents. And we've been to places where we don't speak the language, and they've given me a menu and I've just gone, I'll have that. Not knowing. I mean, usually it works. I think I've only had maybe 2 or 3 up where I've gone, oh no, I can't eat that. Yeah, I think one of the worst was I got something in France and it came and it looked like a sausage, and we looked it up on the dictionary to see what it was, and we didn't really know what it was, Anyway, and it was horrible. It was really gamey, which I don't like. And we found out it was chittlings, so intestines and things, which is fine, but it was too gamey for me. But I was sat there going, oh no, I can't eat this, really. I've got it in my mouth and I can't do anything with it. So, and beloved, because he's very, very conservative with food. If he can find steak and chips on the menu, he's a happy bunny. He lets me be adventurous. I do all sorts, and I'll go and play. And he goes, "Have you got steak and chips or an omelette?" I'll have an omelette. I'm happy with an omelette. So yeah. All right. We must chat about, because I'm just planning some trips with South America. So we must have a sit down and a chat about that. Well, not on camera, obviously, because that's not what we're here for, really, is it? Well, I suppose not. So, in your average, do you have an average day? Do you have something that you do,
Not really. So everything is pretty much driven by how my work day is sort of panning out and what my work week looks like. So I deal with a number of sort of different sort of streams. So we've got mortgages, we've got protection, we've got commercial finance, that is, or commercial insurance as well, commercial protection. And it really just depends on what we're working on and who we're looking after. So today there was a bit of networking this morning, then followed by a little bit of exercise, and then moving on to some other bits and pieces. So research for an existing client, looking at a remortgage. Then I've got a semi-commercial case where a client is buying a sort of just under £2 million property with 4 acres of land, some barns. Oh, my light's gone out.
Keep going. Nobody will notice.
And it's just it's a complex sort of lend, that one, because they're self-employed, they're using their net profit of their business as opposed to their dividends and salary, which makes it more complex and makes the number of lenders sort of lessen. Because there's a number of acres in the property, that makes it more difficult. So doing all of that research, speaking to the lenders, finding out if they've got an appetite for it, having a meeting with the clients and making sure that all the information is correct, and then just sort of coordinating things and then keying the applications as and when we need to. But it really just depends.
Do you know, listening to all that, I'm so glad I do networking. I don't have the brain for that. Well, perhaps I did at one point, but you're a lot younger than me. But now I'm just going, oh, yeah, okay. I just rock up to a meeting and, well, it's either standing up and drinking tea or sitting down and drinking tea, but it sort of revolves around drinking tea. So this has been really good to spend some time with you. And I'm really glad you did that, because we've had all sorts on these, but we've not had that one. So anyway, for those of you who are watching, please watch this to the end, because otherwise it messes with the algorithms. Could you please subscribe, comment, like, tell your friends, and anything else really that you can do to support us. And if there's a particular subject you want us to talk about, then get in touch, because as we mentioned before, we're fabulous, but we're not mind readers. Thanks for your time. Have fun. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.